What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Tribe of Runners podcast. I'm your host, Liz Myers, and today I have a very special guest. I'm sure many of you know her. If you follow any ultra running on social media, you've seen her pop up and you've seen all of the crazy things that she's been doing this year. And today I was like, I want to talk all things 200 plus miles with Andrea Moore. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh man, I am so excited. Your podcast pops up in my feed all the time, and I'm just so excited to talk about running, talk about 200s with you. This is cool.
Yes, and I'm sure I know you know obviously, but maybe not the guest so much, but there's a rivalry between you and someone else that I've actually had on the podcast. And we have to like put it out there. Who is the better 200-mile person when it comes to you and Adam?
Oh, I don't know. You froze there for a second. Are you talking about Adam Williams?
I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He basically just stalked my Strava, and my Ultra sign up, and says, "What races is Andrea gonna do?" And I'm just gonna go do those races. So that's the Adam story. Trying to be like Andrea.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, I can understand why. You've gone out there and done some incredible races this year. And my question for you is, do you know all of the races you've done this year off the top of your head?
I knew I should have brought some notes. Um, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we know the races that we've done. I think,
I,
yeah, I
so
think we
I
can.
knocked off 10 of them, and all of these were the 10 200 plus mile races. Was there anything else that you've done outside of that this year?
Yeah, we usually start the season with Black Canyons. So we usually do the double at Black Canyon, yeah, the 50K and the 100K. So you race on Saturday and race on Sunday. So yeah,
Mhm.
we usually start with that one every year.
Very cool. And then you dove into the Monster and then Cocodona and then
Oh
just
yeah.
kept going. So between, I think it was April and your last race was December 1st when you started, you went out and did 10 200 plus mile races.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Insane. Insane.
so we started 10, um, and this is where Adam and I differ a little bit. He got to finish Oregon 200. I did not get to finish Oregon 200. There was a significant fire, unfortunately, in Oregon, and he was closer to the finish line, perks of being fast. And so, yeah, so he was allowed to finish, I think, along with maybe four others got to finish that race. We were still about 40 something miles away, so we got pulled. So yeah, so and it's weird. It's like it's not a DNF, but it's also not a finish.
Hmm.
So he has one up on me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we won't tell him that.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
we
We
won't.
we we won't tell him that.
Very cool. So one of the big things I wanted to ask you, well, like, are you all right after doing all of these 200 miles?
So I'm sitting at a Starbucks in southern Arizona because my friend Carol is on the Maricopa Trail going after the FKT. So we just finished 23 miles
Oh,
around a nice 13 pace. So we're okay. We're
oh
great.
my goodness. You are still out there crushing it. That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
Fun.
So what made you want to go after like this year? Like what made you want to go after the 200s and go after so many? Was there anything that like just drove you to go do that this year?
Well, I think, last year we were going after the Grand Slam, right? I saw Sally McRae do it, and I was like, man, do you have to be a pro to do that? I wonder if an average Jane could just show up, and do that. And we were one race shy of the Grand Slam, and that was a DNF at Tahoe last year. So that was just enough to put a little chip on my shoulder to say, okay, so we're going to do the Grand Slam, but what else can we do along with that? So that kind of I think is what put it in my head to go after more than the Grand Slam this year.
Very cool. And what a way to do it. I mean, inauguration year of the Monster, which was absolutely insane. And that was like
Yeah.
the first time I think we met. I ran up to you and introduced myself and was like, "Hey, I'm a huge fan and I love what you're doing. I've been following you on social media." And sadly, I wasn't at Cocodona, but I watched you at Cocodona, and then I kept seeing you post more 200s, and I'm like, "What in the world is she doing?" And then I did see that you registered for Cross Florida 200, which is where we got to meet and chat a whole bunch, which was really, really cool. And I got one of your amazing bracelets. So let's actually talk about the bracelets. What encouraged you or inspired you to do the bracelets, and explain what you do with your bracelets?
Yeah, so the big thing I guess at a Taylor Swift concert is like to exchange these friendship bracelets, and I'm like, well, that's really all a 200 is, right? It's just a big outdoor party, concert, if you will, under the stars, right? And my first bracelet I received at the Black Hills A station of Monster 300.
Mhm.
You got a little rock that had a painting right on it, and you got a bracelet. And I was like, man, that's so cool. So between the Taylor Swift and getting my first bracelet at Monster, I was like, I want to make these at every single race that we do, and it kind of like bring everybody together. That's out there, and you can kind of like build your little bracelet community. I don't know. It was just something fun to do.
Heck yeah. I love seeing it. And it was so funny. I would see people post about it all the time. And I was like, I need to do a 200 so I can get one of these bracelets. And it's just like the coolest thing. And you're right. It really brings people together. And no matter what, if you're out there on the trail, like if you're suffering, you look down and, oh, Andrew made me this. Or you look over and see someone wearing it as well, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, that pressure, you have to go all the way now. You have a bracelet. We
I
all have a
know.
bracelet. We have to finish.
Oh, that's too cool. So, in in all, like you went out there and crushed all these 200s. I'm sure you've been asked multiple times, like, what's your favorite race? Which one? And everyone probably has its own special, this is the reason I like this one, and this is the reason I like this one. Is there any of them that stuck out to you the most? Not necessarily being your favorite, but like the most you learned about yourself in the 200 plus mile distance? And then what was the race and why did it make you feel that way?
That is a big question. And you're absolutely right. They all have a story to tell, and they all have layers of revealing ourselves that happen throughout that story. And so they all are very special. Monster, that was a distance PR for us. Cocodona, it was our third Cocodona, but it was special because it was a few weeks after a 300 miler, and you got to be part of this collective that was doing this Monster Dona, or Coco Monster, I think it was called, several different things. But so that made that Cocodona, special. And then Tahoe DNFing the year before, we had an incredible team that drug me across that finish. Like that was special because I'd never gone to a course where I DNF before. And that's a whole another like mental and emotional challenge going back to a course where you didn't finish the year before. So that was special. And then Summit 200 was the highest altitude 200 that we've ever been. So that was a PR, and you mentioned across Florida, that was our fastest 200
Mm.
ever. So like that one's special. They're just they really have something special, and it's kind of hard to say this one's harder than that one or this one's better than this one. Um, if I had to choose ones that really stood out, Divide 200,
Mhm.
the craziest non-US, most beautiful, most spectacular, but also most challenging terrain. If you've done that course, day one just tries to eat you up. La Culotte Ridge is like, but so beautiful. It's just absolutely so beautiful, and had a really special year there. And then in the US, I'd say Summit 200, most challenging, but so rewarding. It's a spectacular course. Yeah.
Very cool. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Those are two races that I've heard the exactly like very similar same thing about the race. Like it's awesome, but it will change you and it's super super hard, but has great
Hmm.
views and like everyone speaks very very highly of them, which is really really cool. And then you also, so not only did you do the inauguration year of the Monster, but you also did Mammoth. So you did a bunch of new
Yeah.
races this year too, which is really cool.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, what would you say is like one of the hardest things for you during this whole quote unquote like race season? It was one giant clump of a whole bunch of races. What was like one of the
Hmm.
hardest things for you adjusting in between like race, take a little bit of recovery, another race? How'd that work for you?
It was really tricky to bounce back after Monster 300. Just that distance, it's a whole nother day and a whole nother night. And I remember showing up to Cocodona and seeing West played, and both of us like, it's 3 weeks, but we're still in this mental fog of like, what day is it and what are we doing? And so that was a hard one. um, the closest flip was between Divide and Mammoth. From the time we finished Divide, we had just flown back from Canada, and like 4 days later, Jackie and I, with the puppies, are driving to California. We're like, oh my gosh. So like while she's driving, I'm like sleeping and I'm Theragun, 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 and trying to do a lot of recovery. Because there was like 3 or 4 days that I went back to work.
Mhm.
So most of that recovery was actually on the drive to Mammoth. So that was a pretty well flip. And then I would say after Florida, Florida was so hard. Like they're all hard, right? So like choose your hard. You can climb, 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 or you're on this course that just demands that you run so much. And the ego is like, this is runnable. Well, all 200 miles are runnable. So if you've been in the mountains a lot and kind of training on those kind of courses to go to something like Florida, that was so hard. And to for me to finish 200 miles in 70 something hours, that's a lot of running. So I thought Florida, was really really hard that way. And then 9 days after Florida, we did reverse Cocodona. And so those that are like just a week and a half apart are just like, what are we doing? Don't think about it, just go. Don't think about it. So
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, that's really, I mean, hats off, hands down, amazing, huge, huge, huge accomplishment. But I think like the most mind-blowing thing to me is that like no matter what, every time I saw you, and this happened at airs or at the across Florida when I saw you, super happy, super smiley, super cheery. I'm sure you have your moments of being like, I hate running, what am I doing? But I swear every time I see you, you're very, very happy and just in really, really good spirits. And it shows like you're very passionate about what you do and you love running. And this isn't something that you're, doing and not loving. But I guess one thing that I like want to trickle kind of on, and maybe you can explain and elaborate, but like why and like what is the cause of all of this? Like why do you do it? What's the underlining meaning? What keeps you going and doing 10, 200-mile plus run races in a year?
Well, I think I just have such deep gratitude for being outside. There is a feral freedom of just being outside. And I think 30 years in private banking, I sat behind a desk, I made all the calls, I was just always chasing a certain career and goal. And so now I'm like in that second mountain of my life, and that second mountain is just like, I'm just so grateful. I don't have to be up behind a desk. I don't have to wear makeup. I don't have to put dye in my hair. I don't have to wear heels. I can just be out here. Like it's, and I think, if I didn't have that corporate office space like previous life, I might not feel that way. But because I know what that's like to sit in a glass office in a fishbowl all day long, to be out here, where like basically nobody cares. Nobody
Mhm.
cares what suit you're wearing today. Nobody cares if you waxed your eyebrows. Oh, is that suit Ann Taylor? Or like we're just like in the dirt and we're just raw dogging the day, and it's amazing and it's great. And so I think, I just have a great appreciation for just being free and being outside. I don't know.
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure probably 90% of people in this sport can relate in some aspect of like just not having any responsibilities other than to keep putting one foot in front of the other, not having to worry about
Yeah.
like anything other than to eat, maybe take a nap and to keep going. So that's
Yeah.
super, super cool. And tell us, I should have asked this at the very beginning, but I haven't. So let's go there now. How did you get into ultra running and, kind of explain? I know you've been on tons of podcasts, and if you don't know who Andrea Moore is, you're probably living under a rock, but kind of explain to us how you got into ultra running and like into the mountains and all that good stuff.
All right. So, I'm from East Texas, a small town, Tyler, and it's very vanilla in Tyler. After my mom passed away, I moved to Dallas, and I was in a relationship that just wasn't great. And sometimes we're too close to the trees to see the forest, but you just wake up one day and you're like, what am I doing? Like this isn't me. This isn't what I want. This isn't the life I want. This is not how I want to raise my kids. I got to get out of here. And I think it was really kind of a going back to my athletic background. I played soccer growing up. I played volleyball in college, at Southwestern Georgetown. And so I just got in a place where I was doing things and in a lifestyle that just wasn't authentic to me. And so I wanted to get back to my athletic roots. So I started walking the dog at night, and it's like, man, it's really nice to be outside. You sit in the office all day and you're in the house all the time. So it was just nice. And I don't know, through that, seeing other people that were out more like jogging and running, it's like maybe instead of walking, I could like jog to the next telephone pole and maybe two telephone poles, maybe a mile, and it just, running is a slippery slope. And it's like, it feels so good. I do believe that movement is medicine, and it just feels good to move. Even when it doesn't feel good, afterwards, it feels really, really good. And so I started growing away from that relationship that, said, the lifestyle you have, you're never going to be a runner. Runners are special. They have certain diets. Runners are this, and runners look like this, and you don't look like that, and you don't do those things, Andrea. You know, um, and I say, well, best way to get me to do something is to say I can't do it. So it went from marathons to, here we are 5 years later. So yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. And what an amazing journey. And sometimes that's what it takes in order for us to find the path of running, however it may come. And for you, is realizing that you wanted to change and things needed to change, so you did. But I think the craziest thing is you kind of mentioned this. It's been 5 years and you've done a lot in 5 years. So you dove completely in, I assume, and just have gone to town.
Yeah, I think everybody wants community. We all want that
Mhm.
connection. And when I got into running, it was like I just started finding people. It started on Instagram. And that's where I met Jackie, my partner 10 years ago. It's like these people are complete strangers, but they're cheering for me like more than my family's cheering for me. And they actually believe in me more than I believe in myself. Like these people are amazing. And it's really that community, and you just want more of that. And it was like the longer the distance, the more community, right? You get to be out there with that community longer, and there's more snacks. So why wouldn't
Yeah.
you want to run longer? So
Yes, yes. I mean, snacks are top tier for sure. But the
yeah.
community is also really, really great as well. And you really nailed it. I can completely agree. Like you dip your toe in and it's like, oh, this is nice. And the further distance you go, it's like the more connected you get within the community. And like you mentioned, the longer you're out there with people, the more you get to see them, not only in races, but at each and every aid station throughout each race. And if you're doing a lot more races, you encounter a lot more people. And I eventually feel like after a while, you notice like the same people are always at these races, and you're like, these are my people. And like you mentioned,
Yeah.
social media is amazing these days. And that's how like I originally found you, and half the people I follow on social media, it's because they popped up on my feed, they posted something like, this is hilarious and I'm going to follow them. And then I start to see them at races and I'm like, oh wow, like they're just like me, they're humans. And then before long we're friends and they're on my podcast, which is awesome. And it really goes to show the like community and people that we all thrive to be around, and that's why I started the podcast, is because just like you and I and everyone that's listening, we're all so similar, but yet we're all so different, and we all get along, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it people power, and I think it's like puppy power. It's I don't know. There's just that sense of connection, and when you're out there, and it's just yeah, like you said, it's like it's your people. And I think that it's also like so super cool that if you're in the front of the pack, the middle of the pack, the back of the pack, 200 miles is 200 miles, baby. Like, and we are all working just as hard, regardless of pace. Our effort is the same,
Mm.
and those layers getting peeled back, it's the same. Our fight for forward, it's the same. And the synergy created, at these ultras or any just trail running event, really, yeah, you're like, yeah, it's time to get dirty. These are my people. And then they
Yeah.
become your family, they
Yeah.
become your family. And like I said, we'll all kind of take a break right through the holidays. And then that's so cool at Black Canyons or Monster. It's like getting the band back together. It's like, how you been?
I haven't seen you for like
Yeah.
a couple months. How are you?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because I did look. Are you signed up to do the Monster and Cocodona again next year?
Heck yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw. I was like, this girl is crazy. What is going on? But no, it's super super cool. And I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself. But since we're here, what are your plans for next year? What are you thinking? Obviously, I saw you signed up for a few things, but do you have anything set in stone that you want to accomplish next year? That's like your big goal.
Well, so I will say that I have this thing that I have to do a race twice, at least
Mm.
twice, because the first time I feel like it's total accident that I finished that. Like, did I really just do that? So I had to do it a second time just to make sure that it was not an accident that I finished that race. So the idea of Monster Donut having the 300 and the 250, only 13 people did it last year. I'm like, I have to do it twice. So that is kind of why I signed up for that. And Cocodona, there's this really pretty 1,000-mile buckle.
Mhm.
Show me something shiny and I will sign up tomorrow. You get a free hoodie, sign me up. Yeah. So I think next year, I told Jackie we were going to dial back the 200s a little bit because
Okay.
they're expensive. We miss a lot of work. It's a lot, right? That goes into 200s, and um, unfortunately, we're registered for like 8. We're gonna have 8 on the list, so we did dial back from 10, but we're still gonna have about 8 or so. And but we want to sprinkle in some mountain 100s. And let me just tell
Oh.
you, if you have friends at Ultra sign up, tell them to get a better platform. Crazy Mountain like sold out in 8 minutes. We did not get in, um, and I need to do that race. So yeah, it sold out in eight
Oh.
minutes, and the site kept crashing, and I was like, let us in. So
So
we're gonna
since you
try to
can't get into
sprinkle
the
in some
race,
Mountain
have you?
200s, and well, so the lottery for High Lonesome is coming up in I
Mhm.
think 2 weeks. So we're gonna try that
Mhm.
lottery.
Mhm.
If we don't get into that
Okay.
lottery, then that means we have to go do Uray 100.
I was just gonna that is like the mountainous, and everyone says it's great, but I don't believe them.
Yeah, they're liars. It might be really pretty, but it's gonna be a soul sucker for sure. So, um, but it's the race that scared me for a long time. We've paced for several years out at that course. I've actually completed each section, but not all together. Um, so
Mm.
yeah, I'm scared, but we have to do
Yeah.
scary things, right? So we'll
Mhm.
see.
For
But
sure. And what a
yeah,
great year. No matter what, if you can get into one of those 100 milers, you'll be set. And I'm sure knowing you, you may do more than one mountainous 100, which would be very, very exciting to go out there and knock everything out. Um, when in, planning all of this, we've kind of mentioned it, but like you have a very busy personal life as well. So I want to share like how you manage all of it, because you mentioned you have kids, I know you have dogs, you have your partner, and you have a full-time job. So how do you manage everything? Like, what is your secret? So we all can be doing all these crazy things like you are.
You know, I've kind of found out I used to be a huge type A planner. It needs to make sense. I need to know exactly what's going to happen. I need to make sure I have enough time to do the and now that I'm in this second mountain of life, it's like just say yes and figure it out. Figure it out. You will, if you really want to do it, you will make a way for it to happen. And so I have found myself that I just keep saying yes, and it just keeps happening. Things just keep happening. Um, but I will say that I definitely cannot do it without Jackie. My partner, I don't know how she puts up with me. I mean, I come home and it's like, so this is what's happening in 3 days, and she's like, what? you know. Um, but to have a partner, a life partner that says yes, do it. You can do it. Go do it. I got this. I got this. I got this. You go do that. that's that's something incredible. And she is my biggest cheerleader. She is my biggest supporter of all my crazy ideas, you know. And it just shows when you have, a strong support system, our partners in the sport, my coach, Jackie, and then the community as well, uh, stronger together. And it's just like, you can just basically do anything, like you really can. you know but it's really all that support around me that is keeping all the other moving parts, together for sure. And even my job, to allow as much time off. um I don't really ask for time off anymore. I just let them know I'm not going to be at work on these days. I'm going to come back on Monday and you're going to let me go to work, or you're not, or you're going to fire me. You know what I mean? But I'm able to also give almost a year's notice, that these are the races that we have on the schedule, and we really kind of work together. So, but it's cool to have an employer that knows that work life balance is super important. You know, if you let us have more life, we will be better at work. I promise.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And both things are super, super important. I think the biggest thing is the support, and you have it
Oh
in
yeah.
all aspects, which is awesome. And I know a lot of us do, which is we're all super, super thankful for, but we couldn't do it without the support and encouragement from
Oh yeah.
loved ones, family, even the community around us, which is huge. But you 100% nailed it with the second part of saying like work-life balance. I feel like a lot of us are too afraid to take off time. I know I used to be the
Yep.
same way. I was like, oh, I can't
Yep.
take off work. My boss is gonna, they could potentially fire me. And then it became
Yep.
to one point in life where I was like, I'm gonna take these days off. And if you don't want me here on Monday, just let me know. But, obviously
Yep.
not, you have to give a notice and, be responsible with it, which obviously you mentioned
Right.
you are. And there's ways about it, but
Hmm.
having that work life balance will help
Right.
tremendously. And then also, if you
Yeah.
are the one doing, you get to go out and do the thing you love, you're gonna come back to work and be a lot happier and a lot more
Oh
enjoyable to
yeah.
be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, my previous life, I was just what you said. I'm like, I can't take that time off. I can't miss that meeting. Like the company, like JP Morgan was going to fall apart if Andrea missed this meeting or that or what. But, we kind of become these corporate soldiers, and it's like, I need to make more money. I need to give my kids better clothes, better education. I need a better car. When it's like, man, we're the whole system is a lie. Okay, you don't need those things. You can literally live in a cardboard box, have your family. Like those are the luxuries, right? The real luxuries in life are our family, our kids, our time, our health. Our feral freedoms. Those are the luxuries. And this whole like working for a dollar, like it has to change. And I think we're actually maybe seeing a shift. in generation saying, no, I'm not going to go work 40 hours a week. I will show up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know, and I
Yeah.
can work from home and I can work from a van. There's a lot more work life balance, I think, coming, and it's kind of already here, which is cool.
Oh, heck
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like it's probably due to COVID, which is really horrible to say, but I feel like that has really shifted people realizing like I don't need to be at work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And also like if your work is in so much demand, like there's tomorrow, there's the next day, and it's just not that serious, like it sounds so horrible to say, but like your time is
Yep.
way more valuable than giving it to some
Yes.
that's not going to necessarily give two craps about you in a year if you leave. They're
Right.
going to forget you in a couple months. It's not that serious.
Oh, absolutely. There's somebody waiting to take your office. I mean, I have to say, I was one of the top private bankers in Dallas Fort Worth, top producing, meaning I was bringing in more assets than any other banker in JP Morgan. But COVID happened, and I realized, like, I don't even know my son's favorite color. I don't even
Mm,
know, like, I was chasing this career and I wanted the next promotion and the next promotion, right? That all these other things are kind of, they get put on the back burner, even if you don't mean to. They just kind of do. And yeah, when COVID came around, it was a huge eye opener, and it was the biggest blessing, I know, for me to just say what's important here. You know, your children, your family, your mental health. Like, things were going crazy, back then, and
mhm.
yeah, it's really the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and my and my
It,
and my
it's a,
family.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I've chatted with quite a few people, and a lot of people will say that, like, yes, it was traumatic and was a horrible experience, but it changed
Yeah.
me in so many good ways. And I know a lot of people got into ultra running due to COVID. They're like, oh, let's just go
Hmm.
run because I'm so bored, which is really good. Hey, they got
Yeah.
outside and they did something active, but it's just,
Right.
really good to hear that you have changed so much just from that. And now you're out there being all cheery and enjoying everything now.
It's awesome, and you're right. Change is hard. We talk about being uncomfortable all the time, but that goes with life. Sometimes the big conversations that we need to have with our bosses or with our partners, that email that we're dreading, we don't want to send that email. We don't want to, face the music. We don't want to make that tough decision. And it's like, that's part of being uncomfortable. And so, yeah, when you talk about it was very traumatic for a lot of people, absolutely. But look how we came out the other side. So yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
so true, so true. So I know we kind of got off path a little bit. We weren't talking about ultra running, but it was at the same time. So I think it's
Yeah.
awesome again what you're doing and how you've been into the community and all the joy that you truly share. I know the bracelets are just like a small piece of it. But I also know like you're one to run with tons of people out there. Like you're in the pack and you not only just are out there pushing yourself but you're pushing other people. I got to see that at Across Florida. I think at a couple times, I know it was always you and Paul, but I know at other times it was you and like four other people. So I love that about what you do, and I don't know if you intentionally do it, but can you kind of share that, like, I've seen you with a group of people and you're just encouraging them, and you are someone that has done quite a few 200. So I deep down think it's like you just encouraging people to go after it. But how's that
Oh yeah.
happen? And, kind of explain that for us.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely more of a social runner. Winning to me is being out there. And when you can share an incredible experience like that with other people, it's a gift. It's a very special gift. And I, you know, people are out there for different reasons, right? And so winning for somebody might be top three, or winning might be, I might not get to the finish line in Heritage Square at Cocodona, but I want to go as far as I can. And that's winning for me. And for me out there, winning is like, I am with my people and we are all in this together. And I just have this sense of gratitude to be around such cool, epic, amazing human beings. It's, you know, I don't know. It's just amazing to get to share some of those experiences. It's like Pompeii Peak at Bigfoot, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there with Gus and we're just kind of having a moment. We're staring at the stars and we're crying. And it's like, yeah, that to me is just so special when you can be with other people going through something that's really, really hard, but we're doing it together.
Oh, for sure. And I love that. And you really, make it true for other people to realize like you don't have to be going after something as in the sense of like I need to be top 5 or anything. It could be the simple thing of like I want to
Yeah.
finish my first 200 and you or someone's like I want
Hmm.
to finish 10 of them, or finish however many I can in a year, but you're still like no, 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 Liz, that's not it. I just want to go run with my friends and enjoy myself, eat some snacks obviously,
Hmm.
but enjoy the
Hmm.
ultra community and just be out there socially, which is super, super awesome.
Oh yeah, and I think it's also just like so special when you meet somebody that it's their first 200. Man, a fire inside of me just lights up and I'm like, hell yeah. Like, oh my God, and like you're crushing it. You're here. You're doing the thing. And I was just having this conversation with Carol who's out attempting her FKT, right? And we were talking about doing the thing. There's only doing the thing, right? So many people will dream about the thing, train for the thing, they're going to think about the thing, but the only way to do the thing is to do the thing. And so
Mhm.
when these other people are out there like trying the thing, they have all the doubts and the demons that are like, am I enough? Can I do this? And my soul just lights on fire. That's like, F yes, you can. Yes, you
Hell
can,
yeah.
and I love that, and it's like the human spirit and believing that we can do hard things, man. It fires me up so much. I love it. I love it.
No, and it's so true. It's so amazing to see someone too. I'm sure you've encountered this way more than I have, but when like the light switch goes on and they're like, I can do this, it could be mid race or,
Yes.
towards the end of the race to the finish line, but it's like they have done all of the work and they're in the race and they're questioning themselves because it's getting really hard, which we all know it's going to happen. But there is a moment of that
Yep.
scarcity of like, oh my gosh, am I going to actually be able to do this? And getting to, see that like I freaking did it or I'm gonna freaking do it is just such an amazing thing to witness and be a part of.
The light comes on, and you, for the first time, you can see somebody who's doing whatever it is that's really hard, right? And then you kind of
Yeah.
see that glimmer of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do this. Like I'm doing it, and you see that click. I think we were just kind of talking about like that's super cool too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And since we're talking about this too, like I'm sure you experienced this and you probably still experience this. I feel like everyone that is doing hard things, which all of these races are very, very hard things, what kind
Yeah.
of things do you tell yourself during these encounters where you're like self-doubt, what do you do as someone that has done many 200 milers out there, to get yourself through it and to continue going on?
Hmm. Well, I think first to your point, we have to respect the run, respect the distance. It doesn't matter how many you have on your resume. It doesn't matter how long you've been running. The wall is still there for everyone, and nobody has the run easier than you. Everybody is suffering. It's hard for everybody. Like, you know, sometimes we think, oh, the fast kids have it so much easier. They're not out here as long. Yeah, but they're pushing harder, than I mean, it's hard for everybody, to your point. And no matter
Mhm.
how many you do, they're hard. And so, yeah, that's what's going to come. And I think the biggest thing I try to tell myself is that this is for now, not forever. And so when you're in that, it's like you're there, welcome to the party. You have arrived, and it's like you're in the fire room, you know, and you're frustrated because the miles are slow. And it's like, why aren't we going faster? Why don't I have energy? This is horrible. I'm selling all my race gear. This is the last time, all the things. It happens to all of us. It's like, what the hell were you thinking? Did you think this was
Mhm.
going to be easy? It would be weird if you didn't feel this way right now. You're supposed to feel this way right now. So accept it, but don't let it control you, right? Like it's not going to control whether I continue or I stop. So it's kind of like just realize that you're there and know that it's for now, and it's not forever. It
Yeah.
shall come to
And I
pass.
yes. And I think that's so true. And a lot of people always forget in the moment. I know I've literally forgot and I've, like been in the suck and just been like, this is my worst. This is horrible, and obviously after we finished, we're like, yeah, we can continue to do this. And I was just being like a little bitch, but you really like hit it on the head. And everyone is doing this and everyone is experiencing a type of hard. It doesn't matter if it was your first 200, if it was your 17th 200, or if it's your 100th marathon. I know someone that literally has run 100 marathons, so I'm like, do they get any easier? And they're like, no, absolutely not. They
Oh.
still I've just ran so many of them, so it's so truthful that yes, you may learn things and do them a little better, but as we are ultra runners, when we learn things, we try to do better, we try to get faster, we try to improve, which is making it harder and harder and harder. So it's a never ending cycle.
Absolutely. A little trick you can do as well whenever you are feeling like shit, you should celebrate that because, yay, we feel like crap right now. That means in 10 miles, I'm probably going to feel really good. So I actually get
Yes.
nervous when
Oh,
I
that
feel
is so
good
true.
because I'm like, oh crap, the bad stuff is coming. And when I feel bad, I'm like, well, at least it's here, and I know that I just have to move forward in curiosity and see how am I going to feel in 10 miles? How am I going to feel in 5 miles? And you're always going to feel better. It's ebbs and flows, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's a very valid point, and it's so funny. I always tell people to expect the lows and to ride the highs as long as you can have them because you will hit another low and then you'll hit another high and it's just a never-ending cycle again. But
Yes.
it's so true. Celebrating the lows because eventually a high is going to come out of it is a really good way to look at
Yep.
it. Awesome. So before I let you go, because I know you have another call and you have tons of things, and is this your day off? Did you go out and run with a friend for fun and then agree to be on
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast on your day off?
So you almost came with us to the top of South Mountain. We're like, do we have chargers for my phone? Am I going to have service up there? Because I was like, yeah, I'm going to chat with Liz Myers on her show. And so, it was hard to leave the trail this morning. But Carol and Tandy, they're out there totally kicking butt. Man, they're so fast. I was hanging on for dear life for 23 miles. And she's got about 211 miles to go. So the Maricopa Trail is like 242, I think. So, but
Okay.
yeah, it's our day off. So we drove down here to Arizona, went for a little boot boop run with some friends, and now I'm chatting with you. Super cool.
Heck yeah. Well, I greatly, greatly appreciate the time. And before I go, one thing I like to ask everyone that I have on the podcast, I think you'd be a great person to answer this, is, in this ultra world, we've talked about it and you've said it a couple times, is like the community is everything and it's the people that we're around. You're a social runner, you like to be around all of the people. So, what does the word tribe mean to you within the running world?
Man, tribe. It's like it's a deep connection. It's on a crazy level, and I think it's like the rawest form of family. I mean, to the very, very core. And it is something that you're just so stripped down to the very, very center. And it's like, we're the same fabric. Like, we are the same. So when I think of tribe, it's like a big blanket. And it's like we're all woven together and we're like this one fabric. It's pretty special.
Oh yeah, I love that. And speaking of tribe in an aspect, and you mentioned quite a few times, but I gotta give shout out to Jackie. So she is your crew extraordinaire, and we got to chat quite a bit out there at across Florida. And you know, it's so special to me for me to see someone that has such a huge support because I know I do as well, and my partner is my crew too. So it was super cool to be out there and witness her out there helping you and then also knowing that like you're just surrounded by the most extraordinary people and have all the support out there, which is super awesome. So I couldn't thank you enough for being on the podcast and taking the time out here. Is there anything that you want to share with anyone before we go?
Um, I would just say that anybody can do anything. Like that really is the power of the human spirit. We are unstoppable. That is the power of being human is we do have a lot more power than we know. And if you want to do whatever it is, change jobs, move states, whatever it is, if you really want to do it, nothing's going to stop you. You really have that power.
Yes, and I love that. And you are a perfect example of that. You've done amazing things, you've changed your life completely, and now you're living a wonderful, beautiful life and out there crushing races like it's nobody's business.
Uh, Fun, man. It really is what they say. We get to do this, and it's
Mm.
a pretty special thing. And I'm full of gratitude and just absolutely heart full that we get to do this cool stuff. It's amazing. Cool stuff with cool people. I love it.
Yeah, cool stuff with cool people. Yes, I couldn't agree more. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I will have every or like all your socials in the description. That way people can find you and watch your crazy, silly posts and all the crazy things you do next year.
So cool, man. It was nice to chat with you, Liz. I look forward to our next party out there.
Oh yeah, me too. Hopefully I'm running it with you and then we can be having a blast, be in the suck together and, you know, ride that roller
Yes,
coaster.
yes, that would be awesome. Cool.